And so the whole idea about putting the 4 o'clock there is to trigger the process of people knowing that we need to start going back home or leave our businesses. The day previous, luckily, we've had students should not go to school. That's the primary school children and secondary school children. So, so that was the event that led to the announcement of the curfew. And at about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, when we're reviewing that, how are people, trying to get back home? What is the traffic situation? Specifically around the Lekki Toll Plaza now, we actually got footage that at some point they had announced that everybody should go home at about 2 o'clock, that yes, we have a state curfew in the state, and by 4 o'clock, the curfew is meant to start. They're recording to that effect. So we felt that right by 4 o'clock, 4:15, the place would have been sort of like cleared of. But apparently, people now started calling themselves back and said, well, we're not leaving. Well, so at about 5:30, I got calls from several others of our opinion pool mothers in the state, some parents, some religious leaders, and said we should actually even see how we can extend the starting of the coffee. I said yes, it makes sense, right? And so I set out notices around 5:30 that maybe the coffee should not start until 9 o'clock. So that was how we started rolling out the communication, and the event that happened at about 7:30, it was just a total shock to me and to everyone around me. I do not know how, we got into that kind of a situation, and it was just something that it was completely unbelievable. When the first call, and it was actually one of my cabinet members that was with me. It was a wife that called us and said they were hearing shooting. I said, shooting where? What? And he said, no, around the lake. I said, it's not possible. And we made phone calls around. No, nobody said they had sent anybody down. Because the instruction is that police will not be out until 10, 11 p.m. when we believe that almost every of our citizens would have gotten home. So I don't know how, they all got it all wrong or something, but it was just something that I couldn't even explain. Who gave orders, who gave instructions for military to be there? It's still something that we are investigating, and we've escalated this to the highest level in the military formation, right? And it's something that our government has totally condemned. Personally, this is not what I stand for. This is not what I believe. I've been part of the youth and the protesting youth from day one. I was the very first chief executive of the state to have joined the riots. To have joined the protesters. On Monday, I was with them. On Tuesday, you saw all of the process and all the things that I've done to ensure that we can hear them, bring them in, and continue to engage ourselves, with the protesters. It's rather very unfortunate and completely condemnable. It's something that we do not stand for as a state, and it's something that everybody still needs to continue to condemn at this point in time.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. Governor. But why is the Army denying allegations that they were involved in the shootings on the Lekki Bridge in spite of overwhelming evidence?
Well, thank you, Tulu. So, Army do not report to me. I do not have any direct reporter line with the military. I have escalated this to the Chief of Army Staff, and I'm also setting up a judicial panel of inquiry to investigate this. And even they doing their own investigation, we have to do our investigation and be able to get to the root cause, or find out, who ordered this, where did they come from, who gave the instructions, so that we can indeed, put some closure to this, this thing.
We lost the audio again there, since.
Yes, I guess that we did.
Yes. He was just going to talk again about his engagement with.
I can hear you.
Okay. We're back with you. Please go ahead. We lost the audio for a moment.
Well, interesting, I hear you.
Okay.
So can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's something that we're not going to gloss over. It's something that we're taking very, very, very seriously. And like I said, a judicial panel of inquiry will be set up to investigate this and bring books for all Nigerians to see who or how we got to this level, we got to this stage, and I have escalated this, like I said, also to the military authorities.
Right, Mr. Governor. Let's talk about deaths. People really die. How do we determine deaths and all that happened in Lekki?
Okay, so there were several footages and there were several information as into the number of people that have died and all of it. You saw my social handle and you saw the reporting that later that night at about 1:30, I went around all the hospitals that the victims, the casualties, very unfortunately, were taken to 3, 4 hospitals over the night. And I personally, with my medical team, went around to ascertain and to see things for ourselves. We went around 1 or 2 mortuaries also that night, right? And yesterday morning, I made a broadcast where I did mention that as at the time I was making that broadcast, we do not have any confirmed death from that incident at Lekki, very unfortunate incident, at the Lekki Toll Plaza. And I think thereafter, at about 11 or so, I brought out a tweet where we said there was a dead body that was brought into an hospital in Lekki early part of yesterday, and from the preliminary investigation, it was not due to any gunshot, right? This was an injury that medical personnel said it was somebody hit the body, the individual by the head, and so they needed to do a further autopsy, to determine what is the actual cause of death. And so I put up that tweet. So meaning that along the Lekki corridor, we have that incident as a dead case. Also in the course of our investigation yesterday, right, we also picked up a narrative that we have a dead body that was deposited at the IDH at Ikeja. So IDH Yaba, that's infectious disease hospital in Yaba. And we found out that there's a gunshot wound on that body. So this was picked up by police in around Victoria Land, and once the body was dropped at the morgue, we went around all the morgues, and this was where we picked another one. So it might also be that this gunshot wound that was reported yesterday might also have been due to the incident of Lekki. We do not know. So in all, I would say that because of the gunshot that we see in this particular single incident that we picked up yesterday, based on the report of the morgue report, we had to go to all private morgues, all government morgues around Lagos to pick up these indices and how there were incidents at the morgue, so that we have a body that we might be able to pass around, and do further investigation today to confirm if indeed it was related to the killing in Lekki. Apart from these 2 incidents that I've just explained now, I do not have any other confirmed, evidence of death from that incident.
Well, Mr. Governor, incidentally, Amnesty International and some other international agencies are reporting that at least 2 persons were killed at that Lekki tollgate incident. But let me ask, how do you plan to restore authority, peace, and order? Particularly as you can see that the hoodlums are still on rampage, they wreaked havoc yesterday, and today people are still nervous. And what level of assistance, support are you getting from the federal government? Because you kept saying you have escalated this matter and that matter. What level of support are you getting to restore that?
Well, I think first thing first is really for all of us, and when I say all of us, all our citizens, all our leaders in various communities to be able to speak to our youth, to be able to speak to our children, to be able to speak to everybody that is under someone. Let us, all opinion molders, all our traditional rulers, all our religious leaders, everybody needs to speak out now for all of these protests to stop. We all need ourselves at this time more than ever before. It's not a one-man called Mr. Governor. Right? I think it's all of us that need to now speak up and speak out now. Right? Everybody that has a follower, everybody that has people that looks up to them, we need to speak out now and stop this. We need to be able to restrain these children or this youth going out and give it whatever name is arson, it's hoodlums, but they're coming from somewhere. And so that is the conversation that we need to take forward now and be able to pass on this message to ourselves. As your governor, I'll continue to work with security operatives to restore law and order, on the land. But I think it's beyond just law and order, because as much as possible, the whole thing started even with the police brutality that we saw. So we do not even want to keep them on the street longer than necessary. So it's really, a community-based engagement that we need to begin to talk to now. We need to begin to very quickly win ourselves back and comfort ourselves back, and restraint has to be at the highest level. This is the sermon that we need to take forward now, so that the agitation, the upset youth that we have, we can calm nerves down, and people can actually just slow down and pause and let us think through this very, very well. This is not Lagos. This is not who we are. This is not what our forefathers have bequeathed to us. This is not the narrative that the Center of Excellence, the state that all of us are indeed proud of. This is not what we stand for. Lagos, has remained the most peaceful part of this country for decades. And so we're not going to throw away what we've cherished, what we've held on to for this number of years, for this number of decades. We're not going to throw it away just because of these ugly incidents that have happened, in our community. So I want to continue to appeal to parents, to guardians, to community leaders, to our traditional leaders, to our religious leaders, everybody that has anyone, to please come out now and appeal to our citizens. I mean, former President Obasanjo had spoken, our uncle Wole Soyinka had spoken, and I think it's just time for everybody to speak up and to be able to calm the nerves, so that we can get the youth and the protesters off the street completely, and some other and law can be restored permanently, into the city that we all love so much, into the state that we all cherish, so much, so that we can begin to see how we bring back our economy, working well for all of us. COVID, have just done a very big blow to us. We're just hoping that we'll not have a second wave of COVID, right? But what we're dealing with now is even almost bigger than COVID. So if we can come out stronger, bigger, should we define what we are, who we are, and by extension, what we stand for. So it's a time for all of us, to hold ourselves, to hold our hands, and to say that we are brothers keeper, irrespective of, the condemnable, properties that we've seen that have been damaged, everybody in one form or the other. I think it's time for everybody to speak up and just, get, our youth off the street, and we put restraint everywhere, so that we can keep the pieces together and we can move the state forward.
Well, I asked Mr. Governor about the level of cooperation that you are getting from the federal government.
Okay, other than security cooperation, so I think the chief of defense staff also called me yesterday to find out, what is happening on ground. And chief of army staff also called me and to say that if I indeed require for the military to come out, they will deploy them. But there used to be an operation OP Mensa, which they use with the police force, and said if that is not sufficient, they can bring out more security personnel, especially to forestall destruction of properties, very strong strategic federal government installations, right? And I said, yeah, why not? The airports need to be secured, the seaports need to be secured, all of the terminal buildings need to be secured, some of the public buildings need to be secured, right? And so that's the level of support, that and a few, cabinet members at the federal to call to find out what they can do. So it's really just a conversation around security support that we've got.
Well, following on from your reference to property damage, we're sorry to see the personal loss that you suffered, and we hope that your family is